Breaking MSNBC caught on hot mic, sexually harassing Melania, and another so-called feminist bites the dust. On Saturday evening it was reported that NBC has confirmed through a spokesman that the company made a payment to a Chris Matthews staffer after she accused the left-wing media host of sexual harassment. The spokesman added the staffer was a producer who accused Chris Matthews of making sexually inappropriate comments about her when she worked on his show in 1999. The woman worked as an assistant producer on the new show Hardball with Chris Matthews, which at the time was on CNBC. As soon as the improprieties took place, she reported to CNBC executives that Matthews was making lewd jokes and remarks to other people about her. Executives then fully investigated the matter and dealt with it as soon as it was discovered that the accuser was indeed telling the truth. They made the accusations disappear by giving the woman a $40,000 check. None of this comes as a surprise to those of us on the right, since the so-called liberal who stands for women's rights actually got caught on a live mic once making lewd remarks about the wife of then presidential candidate Donald Trump, Melania, during a live MSNBC broadcast. Sexual harassment scandals force media companies to become the news. David Folkenflik has what some might call a plum assignment. As NPR's media correspondent, he can on one day find himself interviewing the editor of the New York Times, and on another analyzing whether AT&T will ever be able to acquire Time Warner. But sometimes he must take on a more daunting task. After the Washington Post revealed in October that two women alleged NPR's then senior vice president of news, Michael Oreskes, had sexually harassed them while working at the New York Times, Folkenflik had to turn his reporter's gaze on his own employer. It's not the first time he's had to investigate goings-on at NPR, but this particular story was a tough one to tell. I would say this is complicated, because it involves, among other things, the interactions of people on a human scale, and those people are often folks who are familiar to the audience and to those of us doing the reporting and editing, says Folkenflik, and that's sobering. But the reports are also riveting. The media knows its audience wants to hear more. Between the time allegations first surfaced about movie mogul Harvey Weinstein in early October and November 20, the evening news programs of ABC, NBC and CBS devoted a total of 218 minutes to sexual harassment stories on their weekday nightly newscasts, according to Andrew Tyndall, an industry consultant who monitors the program's coverage. The lion's share of that coverage has gone to news about accusations leveled at Weinstein and Alabama U.S. Senate candidate Roy Moore. Over the same time period, the probe into Russian influence on the U.S. presidential election drew 85 minutes of coverage. The wildfires in California wine country 82 minutes, and the Baptist Church massacre in Texas 67 minutes, Tyndall reports. Covering the spate of harassment scandals that has followed the Weinstein disclosure has forced some media outlets to examine themselves, too. CBS News has placed Charlie Rose, the former co-host of CBS This Morning, under a microscope since disclosures surfaced, again in the Washington Post. About 8 complaints by women alleging Rose harassed them. MSNBC's Mika Brzezinski had the unenviable task of outlining the fate of Mark Halperin, a longtime contributor to Morning Joe, after CNN disclosed past allegations of sexual harassment against him.